And we are here today to shed light on what happened to Jonas Joseph on the night of April the 28th. The information that we received this morning that we did not have before is that a total of 125 rounds were fired to Mr. Joseph. 7 of those rounds were said to have hit him. Interestingly, no shell casings were found at the scene that would prove categorically that Mr. Joseph fired his gun. Coincidentally, the drive-by shooting that he was said to have been a part of a week earlier, they were able to find forensic evidence that matches the gun and say without a doubt that Mr. Joseph was involved in a drive-by shooting. And yet we're unable to find anything that said he fired his gun on the night of April 28th. There are no dash cam videos. We've heard numbers that say as many as 15, as few as 8 cars were on the scene that night. No dash cam video exists from that night. Now, what we do know is the angle that they said the cars were parked did not permit them to collect dash cam video, not even from the car that was parked directly behind Mr. Joseph. He is said to have fired 1 to 3 rounds, and again, as I said before, there are no casings that prove that happened. Because gun residue samples are not taken from the hands of the decedent, which is not, I'm told, customary practice any longer, they were unable to determine if Mr. Joseph actually fired his gun. And that's the information that I believe is most important while we make assessment of what could have happened. We're unable to make a determination about what happened to Mr. Joseph in the absence of clear evidence. We're being asked to believe the lack of evidence, the, how shall I say, the inadequate body of evidence that's been presented to determine that Mr. Joseph acted in a way that brought about his own death. Now, to speak directly to the warnings of creating problems in the city, and problems is not my word, problems is the word that was given to me. I will say that there will be those who will attempt to assert their First Amendment rights regarding the information given here today and at the State Attorney's press conference. We of Black Lives Matter Restoration Polk, we of Black Lives Matter Tampa, we of Sis Se Puede, all of whom you see, the leaders and organizers behind me, ask that you organize peacefully. We ask that you organize and protest without violence. We ask that you assert your rights peacefully. Thank you.
Now again, I do want to make it clear that as Mrs. Davis stated, that they are indicating that there's no dash cam footage available of the night in question in which Jonas Joseph was killed. But ironically, there's dash cam footage of the night Dante Morris shot 2 Tampa police officers. Ironically, they're able to produce dash cam and other video evidence of other incidents that involve Tampa Police Department police-involved shootings. But on this night, they're saying there's no video evidence, and all we can go by is the statements given by the chief of police and now the state attorney, with no video evidence that can corroborate their story. We do not trust the credibility of the Tampa Police Department, nor do we trust the credibility of the State Attorney Andrew Warren. So again, we are going to be calling on the FBI, and we are going to be calling on the high authority officials to investigate this case, and we are demanding an arrest for each and every officer. We know that this does not make sense. There is absolutely no way that you can tell me that a man can shoot at cops, lead them on a high-speed chase, crash into a tree, then get out of this vehicle and start shooting again. Well, that's what Chief Dugan originally said on April 29th. Now it's a completely different story. Now they're saying they fired at him as he was exiting his vehicle. Another thing is they're saying that an officer uses baton to knock out the windows prior to Jonas shooting. Now, originally, they're saying that they never had a chance to even approach the car because Mr. Joseph started firing at officers. Now they're saying that one of their officers did indeed use a baton to bash out the driver's side window and some of the windows of the vehicle Jonas was driving. To change your complete story from an original statement you gave on April 29th to now lets us know that what they did was they came up with a story that sounded legitimate enough to them to present to the public that would justify police-involved shooting. What we're going to do now, like I said, is demand the FBI to get involved and investigate. We do appreciate it. We do appreciate you guys coming out. We're not accepting any questions. Please refer all your questions to the state attorney, I believe it is, the mayor and the Tampa police chief. But be very careful and watch everything they're going to say from this point on out as to what they claim happened to Mr. Joseph on April 28, 2020.
I know you can't go away without answering a couple questions because you made some very serious accusations. Did you get to read the report they just released to the press and public? Have you read any of the evidence or any of the things that they are claiming?
Ma'am, we're going to refer all questions back to Andrew Warren, Jane Castor, and Brian Dugan. We will not be taking any further questions with the exception of Spanish-speaking media. Thank you very much for your time.
Can you identify who's behind you here or anything?
Sure.
No.
Can you tell us what church you're with or organization you're with?
We just want to be able to properly identify it.
Okay. I'm going to identify who I am. I'm Pastor Carl Soto. I am the Vice President of Black Lives Matter Restoration Polk, Inc. I'm also the Associate Minister of House of Kingdom Worship Center of Boynton Beach, Florida. But I am a Tampa resident. Family is here, but they're choosing not to say anything.